Well, Sarah Polley is an Academy Award nominated screenwriter. She's a director, an actor, an activist, and she's now adding author to her list of accomplishments with a new collection of stunning personal essays. And Sarah Polley joins us this morning. Sarah, great to see you this morning.
Great to see you too. Thanks for having me.
All right, so first I'm going to start off with congratulations on the new book. It's called Run Towards a Danger. Now, the title is something a concussion doctor once told you. Can you explain the title and what that all means?
Yeah, so I had a concussion that lasted quite a long time, on and off. I mean, it was 3.5 years before I was my regular self again. And in that time, I received a lot of different advice of how to heal and how to get better. And a lot of it centered around resting and listening to your body's limits and pushing yourself only so far and then coming back down to rest. And this doctor told me something very different. He told me that along with some very specific physical and vestibular exercises to support this, I had to sort of move towards the things that made me most uncomfortable, the things that triggered my symptoms, in order to train my brain to get better at dealing with them, that my brain was getting weaker at everything I was avoiding or at dealing with everything that I was avoiding. So this became a way of being in the world for me. It both completely healed me from my concussion after a very short amount of time of doing it, and also became a way of being in the world and made me want to confront things that I had been avoiding generally, both emotionally and in terms of my past.
Yeah, and some of your experiences as a child actor were absolutely terrifying. You write about being an 8-year-old on a movie set and having a special effects go awry. You had the chance to re-watch that movie as an adult with the men who worked on those special effects. So what was that experience like to sit together re-watching that situation for you?
Yeah, that was a really amazing experience because, you know, the process of making this film as an 8 or 9-year-old with a lot of dangerous situations, at least that's how I perceived it, and a lot of people on set perceived it. It was quite traumatic and had really left me with a lot of scars. And I ran into the man who had been in charge of special effects on that film, who had also felt like the film had gone out of control in ways that he wasn't entirely in control of. And it had really haunted him what had happened to me on that film and the way in which he saw me be traumatized. So when I met him on another film in my 20s, he asked if we could watch the film together. And we sat there and watched it together. It was kind of an exorcism, and ended up holding hands, watching the most dangerous, difficult scenes. And I think both of us found a tremendous amount of healing through that. And I think that's what these essays are about. There are these difficult traumatic experiences in them, but the content isn't actually what's important. It's that in adult life, there were these ways of coming through those experiences and processing them differently and changing my relationship to the past.
Yeah, and Sarah, let's talk about the road to Avonlea. Now, it was meant to be a really feel-good family type show, but the experience you had on set sounded really awful. Now, your mother died when you were working on that show, and after she passed, the writers wrote you a scene where your character is processing her mother dying. What did that do to you as a child?
I mean, it was really difficult. And just to be clear, I'm unsure of the sequence of events. I mean, she died. I went back to work a week later. In the not too distant from that, there were more than one scene written in where I was crying about my mother's death. And I don't know who's responsible for that, if that was the writers or the producers. I don't know. But it was very difficult. And I think because the grief that I was expressing about my mother's death so early after she died was in aid of a television show, it became very hard to relate to and process that grief in a more organic way until I was a lot older. I mean, that might be a general experience kids have when a parent dies, but I do think it interfered with a natural grieving process to have my tears used for a product, for a television show.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially, that's such a horrific situation, all right? And one of the essays that has made headlines is called The Woman Who Stayed Silent. It's about Jian Ghomeshi. Now, it's complicated to unpack in a 5-minute interview, so if viewers want the details, they can read about it in the book. But talk to me about the decision to now break that silence. Why now?
I think because I can handle it now. I did a lot of research about coming forward at the time, and it was made very clear to me that it would be an incredibly difficult, arduous process to have an encounter with the legal system on an issue like this. I had a newborn and a toddler, and I just didn't feel I could protect my mental health and therefore theirs and go through a process like that at that time in my life. But I do feel like I can handle it now. And I think for me, it's not, well, the importance of writing this essay wasn't so much to bring forward my own allegations. It was to show how difficult it can be to remember things properly in a way that looks good on the stand in a courtroom when you've been traumatized. And I really wanted to express my solidarity with the women who did come forward in the case and shine a spotlight on me, myself, and my
absolutely. Well, Sarah, thank you so much for sharing with us. The book is called Run Towards a Danger.
Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this, be sure to subscribe here, or you can check out more Your Morning videos right here.